Hey sis, it's Nicole, and today's video we're going to be talking about why you're supposed to be single. Even if you want yourself a little lover boy, whatever it is, you want yourself a little lover girl, whatever it may be. Okay, rule number one, like Nikki said it herself, rule number one to be a boss, never let a clown try to play you. Anyways, we can skip rule number two. Rule number one is because you're not disciplined with your standards. What that means is you could be a woman or a man who has all these things that you want listed out. You can address those things that you want to that other person, yet you don't abide by that and you don't always hold your standards. For example, like one thing that I hold to myself is I want a godly man. And for me, before I was like, yeah, I want a godly man. And to me, that was like, I want someone who's at least working towards that, But no, I'm just like, I've always told myself my number one standard is I want a godly man. And so when a man comes to me, I'm not going for a man who's not even started their relationship with God. And that is something that they completely need to grow from point one. Another thing is like, I want a man who provides. And that looks like depending on their age, but at a financial place where I'm like, you either have as much money as me or you have more money than me. Like, I need to make sure that you are stable enough to provide for yourself and provide for another person, and eventually, like in the future, provide for a family. And that's something I'm not going to settle for. Also, like little things like he treats you like you're in high school and you guys meet up and he doesn't take you out, he doesn't get you flowers, he doesn't do anything nice for you, he doesn't make you feel special, he doesn't take the time to get to know your values, get to know you as a person. He just wants to be all lovey-dovey with you when he doesn't even really get to know your heart in that way. Another thing being like, I want a man who's serving, and I'm like, and that means to me, like, I've always told myself, like, I want to find my person, like, while volunteering one day. Something like that, where I know that, like, it's a man who wants to serve, like, and be giving of himself just because he wants to, because he loves to give to other people, and he loves to serve other people, and he loves to help other people. And, like, to me, I'm just like, I need a man who's serving. I don't expect myself to find someone while volunteering or anything like that. Yet I'm just like, I need to know that my man is serving. And so if I don't see a serving spirit within that man, like, it's no for me. And also, I'm a very independent woman. And I'm just like, I am not the type to be like, I don't need no man. Like, no, I think men and women, we need each other. And so I'm just like, I'm at a point where I'm like, I cannot handle a codependent man. I cannot be with a man who's codependent. And I'm like, I need a man who's independent and who we both work on our independence, but we come together because we want to work on ourselves together. And like, our goal is to get closer to God. Rule number two as to why you're supposed to be single is you're chasing the feeling to be loved, not to be respected. And this is a big problem because love is a fleeting feeling. Like, you can be married for however long, and that feeling of love, that excitement, those butterflies, that, oh my goodness, he did this for me, oh my goodness, he looks like this, oh my goodness, he gives me kisses, oh my goodness, he holds my hands, like, that's gonna disappear. And as much as anyone wants to deny it, like, it's gonna disappear. And like, love is a choice at the end of the day. It's not a feeling. I believe it's a choice and it's an action. So when you act out of love, that's what people should be seeing. And so why people are chasing the feeling, that's fleeting. And like, anyone can give you love. Like, you can meet someone in the store and they hold the door for you, and like, that's an act of love. And like for God to love the world that he gave his only son, and like, the act is like, that love is giving, right? And so like, God loved, so he gave. That's something that, like, love is anywhere. Like, you need to find someone who respects, and like, that's a hard thing to find, because someone who respects you is going to be someone who is genuinely looking out for you. Like, someone respects you is someone who's going to want what's best for you. And like, respect comes in all different forms. There's like, someone who respects you is going to think that everything you do is the most important thing in the world because they value you. And they see that you have all these desires in your heart, and they're going to cheer you on, and they're going to help support you and lead you to that. And they're going to make sure that you do whatever you need to do to get to where you need to be because they respect you and they value you. That could be anything, like friends, or I know you're going here with this person X, Y, and Z, but I respect you, and I know that this is something you want to do because you've been having a stressful week and you've been doing this, but I respect you, and I care about you, and I know that this is something you need to do for yourself to make yourself happy. And I'm like, someone who respects you is something that you need to value versus someone who you think loves you when it's just, they're just giving you that feeling of excitement. Rule number three of why you should be single. It's because you are chasing a toxic love. Here's what I mean. Okay, I didn't realize this, and I'm like, people really be wanting this, which I think is absolutely insane. But like, I'm very just like chill. I'm like, if you show me you want other women, if you like, if you show me like you want other women, if you show me that like you're emotionally just like not fit or not ready to be in a relationship, like you don't know how to forgive, you don't know how to communicate, you don't know how to trust, you don't know how to do all these things, and I'm like, and like you're not good at communication, and you completely separate yourself from like wanting to have hard conversations, or like you don't respond when I'm like excited about something, and like you just talk about yourself, things like that. And I'm just like, I'm going to tell you that I feel like we're on different pages. I feel like we have different values. I will address it. I will identify, and I will tell you. And I'm like, then it's up to the other person to be like, are they going to stay or are they going to leave? What you want to do is like, when they leave, they want to see you chase them. They want to see you be like, oh my goodness, I miss you. Oh my goodness, da 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 da. They want to see you be like so angry that you left, and like, why would you leave, da 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 da. And I'm just like, the thing is, people are just like, oh, like, you let me leave. Well, it's like, did you give me a reason that you should stay? You know, like, I'm just like, people are looking at it from the wrong lens. People are looking at it from the wrong angle, where it's like, oh, like, I wish someone would just like had wanted me to stay. Well, it's like, you need to look within yourself and just be like, well, were you a person worth staying with? Like, did you offer that person what they were requiring? If the answer is no, then you shouldn't be even questioning. They should just be like, well, I didn't have what that person wanted, and like, we just weren't for each other, so like, let's move on. But what people want to see nowadays is they want to see people be like, oh, like, I left and now I expect them to be chasing me, making fake accounts. I want to see them acting out. Some people like king cars, like whatever it is. People want to see people go absolutely crazy, and then they're like, oh yeah, like, she really cares about me. Oh yeah, he really likes me because he was doing X, Y, and Z. He was being crazy. That is toxic love, and that is not something that you should run after. That is not something you should go after. That is not something you should want, because toxic love is only going to be the first thing. It's going to be the first part of that, like those two words. It's only going to be toxic. Like, if they're showing you craziness now, like, they're going to be crazy throughout. And if that's what you want, that's what you want, you're watching the wrong YouTube channel for that. Yet I'm just telling you, if that's what you want, you need to change that up. So I'm going to tell that to you straight. You need to change that, because if you want to be happy, if you want a peaceful kind of love, like, you need to have someone who's like so emotionally mature, where they're like, we are two different people who want two different things. I'm very like, if you want me, you want me, and we're gonna show each other love. We're gonna respect each other. I'm gonna be excited for you. You're gonna be excited for me. I'm gonna support you. You're gonna support me. You're gonna think I'm the most amazing person out there. I'm gonna think the same thing for you. You're gonna cheer me on like there's no other cheerleader, and I'm gonna cheer you on like there's no other cheerleader. And like, that's how it should be. It shouldn't be like, oh, let me just like try to make her jealous, or oh, let me try to make him jealous real quick and see if he cares. It should not be like that. No, if someone tries to test you, if someone wants to see you act crazy, that is such a sadistic behavior, and you should just go far from it. You don't need a toxic love. Rule number 4 of why you should be single. This one is because you're chasing your worldly desires instead of your God-given desires. I be questioning myself. I'm like, why am I attracting all these men? Like, I feel like the only men I'm attracting is people who don't want the same things as me, like who I have to shape their values. I have to shape boundaries. And I'm like, I want a man who comes to the relationship is like, these are my boundaries. And I'm like, and then where he comes to them, he's like, what are your boundaries? So we can find a middle ground, you know? And I'm just like, I need someone who comes with that. Because I'm like, if I keep chasing my worldly desires, if I keep looking for like, oh yeah, I want a man who takes me here, who buys me this, who gives me this, like, that is not going to fulfill me. It's not going to be fulfilling. Don't take advantage, and don't use your worldly desires just to get an instant gratification, because instant gratification is not going to be fulfilling long term, and you're going to be unhappy long term. And like, once you start praying more, once you start getting in the word more, you're going to start realizing that God has a plan for you. And let me say this, because when you go through something once and like you feel like you have a really bad heartbreak and stuff like that, and then you realize you get out of that and you come back so much stronger, and you're just like, wow, like, I'm so much happier. And you're like, that was only through the grace of God, like, that you went through something so traumatizing, so hurtful, and yet now you're at a place where you're like, wow, like, I'm so happy. Like, I'm so happy as a single person. Like, I love my friends. Like, I love the places that I learned from, and like the places that I've healed from, and just like that I've grown from and matured from. And it's just like, you look at yourself now and you're like, wow, like, I've been through so much, and like, now I'm here. Like, that's all through God. You're gonna realize that God knows what's best for you, and at the end of the day, like, he's going to make sure you're happy, because he created you, right? You have to realize that God knows what's best for you. So make sure to pray about everything, because God knows, and God's gonna tell you and God's gonna guide you. Because when I wanted something so bad, like I wanted to be in a relationship with one person, and I'm just like, I was like 2 weeks into, like 2 weeks, like I was like so excited to show this person off. I was so excited to just like celebrate this person. And I'm just like, within those 2 weeks was the time when that person shifted completely towards me. And I prayed heavy on 2 weeks. I took 2 weeks to separate myself. So I also had like things going on. And like, I took those 2 weeks and I was heavy in prayer, heavy in the word. And I was like seeking scriptures. And I was just like, God, I need you to reveal this person to me. I need you to show me his intentions. When I was nothing but kind, when I was nothing but genuine, when I was nothing but pure-hearted, when I was nothing but loving towards this person, everything went downhill. I felt aggression, I felt anger, I felt all these things from this person. And I was like, this is not loving, this is not gentle, this is not the man of God, this is not someone who genuinely loves me, because love is not the feeling, love is an act. And I'm like, the way this person acted towards me was not resembling God. And I'm like, because God gave me that clarity, he gave me that peace, and I had to end it then. And I'm like, that was the hardest thing I had to do, because I was so set on being in a relationship with this person. So it comes to knowing what God has for you and what God calls for you. Rule number 5 and final reason to why you should be single during this season is because when things aren't going well, you focus on the things you don't understand versus on the things that you do understand. And this is what I mean. This is when your vision can be distorted. And like when you're talking to someone, when you're dating someone, whatever that may be, like you're focused on what you don't understand. So you're like, why does this person not do this when I ask? Or why does this person not show me this and I'm asking them to show me this? Or why is this person like wanting to do this thing when I want to do this thing? And just like by focusing on what you don't understand, you leave room for the what ifs. And when you leave room for what ifs, you will focus on the potential versus when you focus on what you do understand. And when you focus on what you do understand, you're like, well, this person is not doing what I want when I ask. And you're like, this person, when I ask them, is like jumping around the question. Or when I ask this person to not do this because I have their best interest at hand, they go ahead and do it anyway. And so it's just like, when you focus on what you do understand, you give yourself clarity. And because of the fact that most individuals focus on what they don't understand, they're very confused. And so that's why you're supposed to be single, because if you're focused on the things that you don't understand, you're leaving so much room for the potential, so much room for the what ifs. And when you focus on what you do understand, you give yourself that clarity, that peace, that understanding that you need and that you're looking for. And that'll get you to the conclusion of what you need to do and how you need to handle that relationship or that talking stage or whatever. I know this was a little bit long, but yeah, those are my tips as to why you're supposed to be single during this season. Being single is a beautiful thing. It's something that God like calls us to be, and like he created us as one, you know, like he created us alone. And so I'm like, just focus on what God has called for you, and just like focus on like what your next steps are and what your next goals are in life, and like your person will come, and that's easier said than done. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Spread lots of love, go be a blessing to someone else, and yeah, if you could like, comment, share, and subscribe, that'd make my heart super happy. And yeah, see you later, sweets. So my sister said this color looks nice on me instead of my mom. And she was like, oh yeah, it's giving honey crust colored. And she was like impetigo. And I was like, oh. And I'm like, my healthcare workers know, we know what impetigo is. But I'm like, we love a good healthcare joke. But yeah, this is my honey colored crust fit anyway. But yeah,